So today I want to talk about something that I discovered that I don't see any there's no information about it online, and it's not something that the player can see, at least in terms of the numbers. It's a bit of a hidden mechanic, a bit of a hidden intel mechanic. If I open up console and type in tdbug, hit enter, I have the ability to get this little debug menu, right? And so it tells you information about the province that you're hovering over. And if you look a little ways down there, you'll see something called intel level 255. Well, it turns out that this is a province intel level, and every single country has an intel level for every single province. Canada obviously has a intel level of 255 for every province it owns, and all of its allies, it's going to have a 255. But if we go to, let's say, somewhere in the US, well, we have an intel level of 0. Except that's not the case for everything. If we hover over a border province, we actually have an intel level of 100. And if we hover over a border province that has a unit on it, or next to it rather, there's a unit here, we have a level of 200. It's not only land units that can see this. If I move a ship to an adjacent sea tile, I can actually see everything on the coast at a default of 200. And of course down here I can't see. So if I go here, so it doesn't matter if I have one ship or if I have four, it's going to be that base 200 level. Okay. You've probably done something like that with submarines. I have a situation here where I have a fair amount of counterintelligence. I have Army Department, Air Force, this. And so relative to the other countries, Austria, Hungary, all of these other ones here, and Germany especially, I have an advantage over them. So I have a situation here where a unit that borders is at 250, and then one without is at 150. It seems that at 200, the units will appear, and at 250, we actually get information on them. So the situation here is 255, and of course it does max out at 255. So for the situation for Austria and Hungary, we have the same numbers in terms of our intel. And of course, if we border, we have 250, and if we don't border, it's 150. Of course, border 250, don't border 150. In a situation where I have a full intel on Germany, and I've got a decrypted cipher, we've got a little bit from nothing from land combat, but we also have air recon. And we've essentially capped them out at 100%. And we've got pretty well good intel on everything with Germany, in which case we have a situation where if it borders, it's 255. And if there isn't a border, it's still 250. So you can get quite a bit of intel on them and see where all of their stuff, where their units are. Most situations are going to be, if you border them, you're going to have units there. So you're going to know whether or not they're there, even if you have the low intel. So why does it matter? Well, there is another way to get information that's not just on the border. All right, so if I research all of the radar tech here, so if I completely max out my radar in one of the states here and hover over, I see here, I actually have quite a bit of intel on states that are not bordering. In fact, 140 is not quite enough to see units, but at 200, it would be. So I'm going to show you here in Germany, there's a situation where we've got a couple units here around Nuremberg, one in Frankfurt, Stuttgart, so we've got units here. I can't quite see them at 140, but if I continue to build radar, we're getting just a little bit out there. So it looks like we are fully covering, and maybe go forward a day. What are we sitting at now? Boom. Okay, these units have appeared. So if I'm hovering here and I have full intel on all of Germany. So with 2 radars, and I don't think you don't need to do just 6. In fact, I'll reload that just to show that this had a different lower level. Okay, I've just reloaded. I'm going to turn back on instant construction. I'm just going to do 1, 2, 2. Well, let's do 3. So let's say we have 3, level 3. It's not too crazy. 1, 2, 3, and boom. So with a full network, because this scales, I have full coverage of everything they have. I can see essentially anywhere that both of these radars overlap, I can see all of their units. We don't have the best intel over Austria because, well, we just don't, right? But if I were to set up a network, right, and just get that advantage, you can now see that we have a 90% network in Austria. We now have 180. So with a full network, which we can then just put this on here, with a full network, I can now see all of Austria's units. So that's how that works. You may have seen situations where you can see where the enemy units are, even though you're kind of at range, and you probably wondered why. That's going to be because you have a network of some sort and you have overlapping radar. Now, you can do this without any networks at all. So I'm going to reload, and I have a special situation here. So with radars, and this is obviously to the extreme. You're probably not going to want to do this in a game, but you know, maybe you want the eyes of Sauron, and you want to look at Austria. You also want to look at Hungary and Romania, and Yugoslavia, and all of Italy, and Switzerland, and most of France, and Belgium, and the Netherlands, and all of Germany, and Poland, and all the way out till, you know, parts of Russia. So how do you do that? Well, you just build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 full level radars, full level 6 radars, and you can see everything. So it looks like, if I come out here to the edge, so we're at 0, and then we come in 1. So this is 1 radar level covering it, which gives us 40, 80 for 2, and then another, and it just goes up by in increments of 40. That's the base value, and depending on if you have an Intel network in them, that can also scale. So we could, if we had a good network in the Soviets, see exactly what these units are made of here. Yeah, and just to prove, like, we're not allied or anything, like, in fact, I'm at war with the Axis here. This is just, you know, like, default AI. Yeah, so you can, you know, get some crazy information with radar. There is no, as far as I know, there's no other mechanic that does this. It's not like you can get planes. It's either land units or ships, which will show you the ones that they border, and then of course radar will show you anything behind the line. But yeah, that's going to be it for me.